Despite record-breaking gas prices, one county board of supervisors voted against restoring state oil production. The denial comes as California gas prices are climbing on a daily basis, but other options may be coming to the state.
The Santa Barbara County Board of Supervisors recently denied an ExxonMobil proposal to make thousands of truck trips per year transporting oil from now idle offshore oil rigs. The refusal declines ExxonMobil a crucial step in its hopes to restart drilling at the decades-old trio of oil rigs. The company said without a pipeline, trucking was its only option to transport crude oil to markets. And a pipeline may eventually be on the way, though not in the near future. Houston-based Plains All-America Pipeline is looking to replace a pipeline that was shut down in 2015. The shutdown happened after one of California's worst coastal oil spills in 25 years. It was the link between offshore platforms and onshore processing plants. Plains All-America's plan won't receive a complex environmental review until October. Ben Oakley, manager of the California Coastal Region for the Western States Petroleum Association, said the supervisors chose to make California even more reliant on imported energy at a time when Californians are already struggling with some of the highest energy costs on record. Santa Barbara Supervisor Steve Lavagnino said he hopes for alternative energy sources, but acknowledges California is still years away from eliminating oil and gas.
Los Angeles Sheriff Villanueva has been very vocal on law enforcement staffing. He recently slammed LA County supervisors for ongoing hiring freeze in his department. We hear more from NTD's David Lamb.
The Los Angeles Sheriff said at a press conference on March 9th that budget setbacks and a hiring freeze are impairing his department's ability to provide public safety.
We're in the middle of a crime wave right now. 94% increase in homicides in 2 years. And what is the board doing? Let's remove deputies from the field. Let's remove detectives from working. Let's start closing down the jails. This is unsustainable at any level.
The county placed a hiring freeze on several departments during the height of the pandemic in March 2020 to cut back on expenditures. Last October, the supervisors lifted the freeze on every department except for the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department.
When I say defunding has consequences, see this number right now? That is the total sworn vacancies as we speak, 783. That number is going to grow to over 927 in the matter of the next by April 1st. That is the lowball estimate is 927.
As a result, Villanueva said deputies are overworked, detective cases are overloaded, and relatives of crime victims do not get timely updates on the progress of their cases. In the past few years, major cities participated in a defunding the police movement.
And then they lived to regret it. Every single jurisdiction turned around and refunded.
President Joe Biden also called for police refunding in the State of the Union address.
We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police. Fund them. Fund them. Fund them with resources and training. Resources and training they need to protect our communities.
Villanueva says deputies used to only be allowed to work 12 days in a row, but now the number has increased to 30 days in a row. NTD reached out to a county board supervisor for comment. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
The driver of a Lamborghini was attacked in Los Angeles after getting out of his car. Luckily for him, he fended off the two bandits.
In this surveillance video released on Wednesday by detectives, the man sees the suspects exit their vehicles in the middle of the road. They then approach him. One bystander immediately leaves the scene. Then one robber pointed a handgun at the victim and demanded his watch, police said. A fight then breaks out, and another bystander avoids the confrontation. In the 1 versus 2 fight, the victim manages to knock down the thugs a few times before they flee the scene. Police said prior to the incident, the victim and his friend went to an upscale restaurant in the Hollywood area on Sunday, March 6th. The victim gave his friend a ride home and then drove to his apartment building, noticing that a white sedan was following him. The victim turned into an alley and parked, noticing that the sedan also turned into the alley. Detectives are seeking the public's help in identifying the suspects.
The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, announced on Wednesday that California can set its own zero-emission vehicle sales mandate and tailpipe emissions limits. This move is a reversal of a 2019 decision made by then-President Donald Trump.
In 2013, California received a waiver under the Clear Air Act, allowing the state to set its own emissions limits. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, said it is finalizing a decision to reinstate that waiver. EPA Administrator Michael Regan said, "With today's action, we reinstate an approach that for years has helped advance clean technologies and cut air pollution for people not just in California, but for the U.S. as a whole." As a result, the California Air Resources Board said on Tuesday that it plans to significantly increase electric vehicle requirements by 2030. However, critics say the waiver would hurt American jobs and innovation and American taxpayers. 16 states, including New York, Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, as well as the District of Columbia, have adopted California's tailpipe emissions rules, and 13 are following its zero-emission vehicle rules. The EPA in December finalized new vehicle emissions rules, which would require a 28.3% reduction in vehicle emissions through 2020.
Whether you're an Apple fan or an avid collector, an auction is underway for items from the earliest days of the Silicon Valley. Many of the items are related to Apple founder Steve Jobs, including one of his extremely rare signatures.
Memorabilia from the earliest days of Silicon Valley are going up for bid at RR Auction in New York. One of Apple founder Steve Jobs' exceptionally rare original signatures will be auctioned.
This is a very early Apple check. What makes it really important is it's from July 1976 and it's made out to an electronics firm. And this payment of $3,430 is to pay for the parts for the Apple I computer. This is before they had any investors. What was really incredible, it's signed by both Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, very early in Apple.
The check is expected to be the top lot.
Steve did not sign very many things. He didn't like to sign objects, so his signature is very rare. It's actually one of the rarest signatures that collectors are interested in. So anytime something comes up with Steve's signature on it, it goes for a lot of money.
To have both Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak sign a check is incredibly rare.
Other Jobs memorabilia will be available, including one of his first job applications as well as his business cards.
We have this Pixar business card from Steve Jobs. We have a lot of Steve Jobs business cards. They sell for a lot of money, but what makes this one really special is Steve Jobs slammed into someone's car on the Hollywood freeway, and he got out and gave him the card, and on the back, Steve Jobs has written out his information. So it's got a great story. You know, it's not just a business card.
Items from California's early tech development days will be available too. One of the earliest computer mice will go up for sale. The first quarter put into the first arcade video game will be on auction, used on an Atari Pong video game.
These items are being consigned to us by people from the Silicon Valley that were there when this whole computer revolution started. So these are very desirable. These particular computer items are museum quality items.
The auction will conclude on March 17th.
Feeling hungry? It's lunchtime in a bald eagle's nest on top of a pine tree in the Southern California mountains. And fresh fish is on the menu for a hungry newborn eagle chick. Just before noon on Wednesday, the male bald eagle named the Shadow returned to his nest with a fish. At the nest, his mate named Jackie fed pieces of the fish to their 1-week-old gray fuzzy baby. The chick hatched on March 3rd. A second egg in the nest remains unhatched. Friends of Big Bear Valley, which operates a webcam on the nest, says the second egg could still hatch any day. Last year, the pair also laid 2 eggs, but neither chick survived. The eagle's pair's nest is in a pine tree about 145 feet above the ground.